My name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 225 of Legally Clueless. Thank you so much for rocking with this podcast. If you're an OG member, nothing but so much love for you. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, audio episodes like this go out every single Monday and you can stream them on Spotify and everywhere else you find podcasts on. Make sure you also join our community, check out our tour series and our video series and our workshops and our events. All the good stuff we're up to just by going to our website, which is legallycluelessafrica.com. We're also on Instagram and TikTok at Legally Clueless Africa. All these links are in the show notes. So I'm really excited about today's episode, as I always am, especially when the storyteller is somebody who listens to the podcast and wrote in for a chance to share their story. Listen to this.
And I'm in this 2-bedroom house, 2 kids. My husband is not there. He comes home late, and the whole day I'm with the kids. I'm alone, except for the 3 hours the day bug comes. I started sinking into depression without even knowing it. The kids were crying. I'd start crying. Sometimes I'd go for days without a shower. Sometimes I wouldn't even want to eat. And I remember shrinking all of a sudden. I was so sleep deprived because at night I'd have to wake up. This one is waking up now. You sleep 2 minutes, the other one is up. And I remember hating my life and wondering, how did I get here? Why did I get here? And I remember hating myself and starting to hate my kids.
That is the amazing and powerful Ngina. I absolutely loved meeting her. So she actually came all the way from Embu. She filled out our storyteller form, which you can as well. The link is in the show notes. And we read up on her story and we're like, okay, definitely want to meet her. She came all the way to Nairobi for us to record her story, and it was just so powerful. It's so funny how, and I say this about almost every story I record, that when I'm recording the story, it's exactly what I need to hear in that moment. It's almost like the universe is conspiring to send me a message. And so I really felt that strongly with her story, that just really details the power of healing. So we're going to get to that a little later in this episode. Now, I don't have a song of the week, although I am re-listening to one of Now's album. So perhaps next week I'll share a song from there. I'm not sure yet. I'm sampling a lot of new artists and I haven't settled into one particular song just yet. So once I do, you know I'm going to share it on Song of the Week. But also, I didn't want to share a Fatoumata song again, yet I've just been listening to all her music this past week. So help me out, man. If there is a new song, or not necessarily a new song, a song that you're connecting with, that you feel deeply about, you can contribute to Song of the Week, by the way. It's been a while since I told you this. So all you have to do is hit us up on Instagram. Just tell us the name of the song. We'll look for it and we'll share it and shout you out as well. Okay, before we get to 100 African stories, I am on such a high from the Legally Clueless Africa group therapy session that we had just yesterday. First and foremost, we had repeat attendees, which means you're doing something right. Let me tell you the nerves that come with starting something new. Oh my goodness. And especially events, you fully believe in them, your team fully believes in them, but there's just this imposter syndrome and doubt that comes so strongly. Oh my goodness. And I have to trudge through it and just like hope that people see and feel the value that, you know, I'm trying to create for this group therapy. And so having repeat attendees was just affirming of that. And I was very happy. I was like, okay, even if one person finds some sort of healing in this space and wants to come back, that's fantastic. And we had more than one person having come back after attending one of the previous sessions. So I was so happy. I was also very happy that we had some men too. I think the last Yeah, we've actually had men in every. The first one we had one man, second one man, this one two men. So we're increasing. There's definitely more women, but men are more than welcome. We thank you for listening to the podcast, and the group therapy sessions are a space that you can be part of as well. And then I'm also excited because I wanted to share some things that even I was learning through the session. Like, I was just like, what? I've never heard of this. So the theme was how we lose ourselves in relationships, especially intimate relationships and friendships. And we touched a bit on like relationships within our families, like with your siblings, etc. But one of the core places that we sat in when we were dealing with this was abandonment traces. P.S. We don't call them issues, abandonment traces. And this is quite interesting because you could map out how you behave in intimate relationships based on your abandonment trace, right? What you can trace it to. And these are things we experience in childhood that left us feeling abandoned or lacking a specific thing. Well, it has a more scientific definition. But we, through these experiences, form thoughts based on these events as well as behaviors based on these events. And so they're like faith took us through 4 core beliefs that are under the banner of abandonment traces, from you feeling deprived of emotions. There's one that had to deal with feeling like you're a failure. There's one that dealt with different types of abuse. So we learned about 4 different core beliefs. And man, it made so much sense. Like how I think and behave in relationships just made so much sense. And I could trace my behaviors and my thoughts right down to experiences that I went through in childhood. Oh my goodness. It was just illuminating. I think half of the work in healing is done when you finally have meaning or awareness of whatever it is that you're navigating or why you're feeling the way you're feeling or behaving the way you're behaving. Once you understand that why, it's like half the work is done. Like you can see, and even as you're trying to navigate the solution, you can live in the question. But because now you can even communicate to your partner or partners that this is how I act because of ABCD and I'm trying to figure it out. You know how powerful that is? Oh my goodness. I was just like, I get me. I really do get me, Another thing that was so interesting to learn or to just even discuss about during group therapy was on parents, caregivers, extended family members, so your aunts, your uncles, your siblings, how you can trace the abandonment to things that these people may have said or done. And when you do that, it's normal to feel guilt around that because maybe on one hand, they were responsible for the events that you can trace the abandonment to, but at the same time, they were also making sacrifices for you as well. So let's say it was your parents. You kind of feel guilty that maybe they deprived you of emotion because they were also providing for you. And I get it. Like from a rational standpoint, it's like, of course they were providing for you. That's what they needed to do. But when you're doing this work, you actually start feeling guilty. So just hearing the affirmation of it's normal to feel this guilt. It doesn't mean that you should stop navigating. It doesn't mean that you can't hold people accountable for negative or traumatic behavior. It's a normal feeling that comes with it. We also spoke about how in a relationship, the person that you love will trigger your inner wounded child the most. And I think we can all relate with that, right? So you may find yourself saying things or doing things that are so out of character, that are so dark. And I think Faith was using the term, your shadow self comes out. And so quite a few of us identified with this. And she was talking about how in those moments, if you can delay your reaction or action, just delay it for a bit, right? and then try and move your reasoning and your thinking away from your heart, so away from your emotion, to a more cognitive part, so back to your brain, because your brain then will remind you of the consequences. Like, if you hurt this person like this is what the consequence of that action will be, or of that reaction will be, which I thought was great. Like, if you can in the moment delay, that really spoke to me, delay your reaction or your action. Yeah, like even under that banner, and like when we were talking about that, I just remember thinking how important it is to be comfortable in how human you are. So knowing yourself and knowing that you have the ability of light and the ability of dark and everything in between. And so knowing it means that you can manage better if you get triggered. You know what I mean? Anyway, it was wonderful. And I definitely think we need an abandonment traces episode. Like, what? I feel like we do. Let me know what you think. You can hit us up on Instagram. Okay, so let's jump into 100 African stories. Ngina came all the way from Embu. I've got so much love for her for doing that, to share her story. And it takes us through the power of healing a mother wound so that she could be a better partner and a much better mother.
100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
So my name is Gish. My husband loves calling me this. And I'm from Embu, small town somewhere, just 2 hours from Nairobi. And I'm 32 years old, married with twins. They're 3 and 10 months, I think. And I'm currently pregnant, 38 weeks, and jumping up from county to county and just traveling and loving it. We're just 2 kids, just me and my brother, 10 years gap. So that tells you that huge gap. And I grew up in Embu, but I wasn't really born there. We were born so far away, and Albagon is along to Molo. So you can just see it's just a small town. It's not really grown till now. But then we relocated after the clashes that happened in 92. So we came back to Embu. So my upbringing wasn't bad because I have a very strong bond with my dad. But my dad had to work far for better part of our childhood. So most of the times we were left with our mom. Still, my dad is actually the one who got me to understand some of the things that happened during my childhood and actually came to make a little bit of sense about why my mother and I didn't have such a strong bond. Because my mom got me when she was 21. She was in university. It was really hard for her that time. You know, she's young and she's all here married. It was just like, these people just get in love. They just want to run off together. Funny thing, she had to go back to my dad's place in El Paco. That's where I was born. And it wasn't really a very good experience for her. Fast forward, I think for her, she was dealing with a lot. As a parent now, I understand that when you're dealing with a lot mentally, you displace it to your kids without even knowing it. So for me, I think that is how I started now receiving the trauma from her end. Because it was really tough. I can't say we were not lacking because we got to go to the best schools there. But I feel my mother wasn't really there for me. Emotionally, especially emotionally, that is where the gap was. When we went back, she had to go back to school. It was KU. So I was left with my grandma. My grandma was the best. My grandma was the best. She was so sweet. She was so kind. I felt like I got a mother bond with my grandma. My grandma, she passed on in 2011, but since up until 2011, it was still really tight, you know, and I'd visit her. And before she died, she actually really asked that I go visit her, but I was in college at the time. It was close to Merit, was in Kobo. I didn't get to go. So funny thing is, when I was growing up and I was in, I think, grade 8, I think 12 years or so, my grandma told me, I remember till this day, don't get an extra piercing on your ears. I was like, okay, because I went to her place and I had this magnetic stand. They were in fashion that time. So I got them and I went to visit her. I was like, why are you getting a new piercing? Why are you getting a new piercing? You know, she's talking in Kikuyu and Swahili because I said, okay, just a start, you know, I could just remove it. Interesting story. In 2011, I really got sick. I was in college at the time. I got malaria and some dysmenorrhea. That is what they admitted me for, as I remember. When I got discharged, I decided, you know what, I can get a piercing. So I got an extra piercing. Weird enough, that was the day my grandma died. I am still, I really, sometimes I feel like I caused it, like her death. But I remember like coming way later and joining the dots. Wait, my grandma died on this day. Weirdly enough, my grandma died on this day. This was the day I got these extra piercings. Like, wait, like, did she, like, was I really, like, holding on to her with the piercings and everything? I felt like I lost someone really, really, like a maternal bond for me, like someone really maternal. I lost her that day. Because things that me and my grandma used to do was just chill. She was really old. She wouldn't walk much. But I can't even pinpoint what really, but I felt safe around her. She was really warm and lovely, but my mom was just going to work, coming back home. When she comes home, she doesn't want to be talked to. She doesn't want any noise. She just wants to chill. I remember she used to be really physical. She was really physical. She'd really hit me when she'd get really, really tough on me. Because you see, my brother and I have a 10-year gap, so it was just me. And I felt like she used to do it with a lot of anger. When she'd punish us and maybe discipline, yes, the word is discipline, she'd do it with a lot of anger. And I remember it really affected me because sometimes she'd use very mean words. That is when I think it started getting really tough on my self-esteem. And I had self-esteem issues growing up. I wasn't really confident. I just wanted to chill with the boys, just play football. I was really good with football and running. But I remember I didn't have an emotional bond with my mom. I'd never tell her anything. Like, I'd just write. My dad really taught me how to write and love reading. So I used to pen down my emotions. So I remember one time she found that book. I used to hide it under my bed and she found it and it was written, I hate my mom. Like, I think it was after an incident, some boys came home. I remember it was on a Sunday. And we were just chilling and I was doing my homework. My uncle was around and my dad too and my mom. So I was just chilling and we were just talking in the seating area and I was doing my homework in my bedroom. And then all of a sudden I hear commotion and I'm wondering, what is going on? My parents are in my room, they're budging in like, what the hell are those boys coming in to ask for you? Because we used to live in second floor and they were down there, they were calling my name and like, wait, boys are coming for you. You're like 12 years old. What is going on? So I remember that day, there was really, really, I didn't know. I honestly didn't know who these boys were. I didn't know what was going on. But I remember my mom's reaction to it was, she called me a hypocrite for trying to say that I didn't know them. So it really hit me like, I'm really trying to tell you the truth here. I don't know what's going on, but you're trying to say that I am a hypocrite. And I remember it was a really nasty thing. And I remember sometimes when I wouldn't do good in school, she would call me a disappointment, such stuff. And I really would pen it down and just like, I don't have a bond with her. When I tried to have a bond with her, it was just, I wasn't really there. But I'd see when my brother came in, she was really good with him. Like, okay, so what is it? What's wrong with me? Because I remember when I started my menses when I was 12, she wasn't the one who told me how to wear my sanitary pad. She asked someone else to do it because she just had to go to sleep. It was weird because I felt like this is something my mom needs to teach me. When I see kids and their moms are really tight, I'm like, yo, bad old stories. My mom like, yo. But my dad was really cool, but he was far. So he was far. He can't know all these things. And I'm really those people who can go through shit and just keep quiet about it because they don't want to make a whole fuss. I'm like, okay, fine, get on with it. So it grew up and she was really mean, like say stuff like, oh, so who's going to want you now? You know, so mean stuff. I remember one time, I don't even know what, I remember the words, not what caused such things, but I remember her words mostly because words, kids never forget what you tell them. They never forget. They absorb and just start believing that they are those things you tell them. So I remember her saying that, I don't know who's going to marry you. And I think when you're going to get married, they're going to bring you back home. It's like, for me, marriage felt like, even if I get married, it's going to end up in divorce. So I was really, really I grew up with this fear. I don't want to get kids early because I think my mom got me early and this is why she's so bitter. I don't want to get pregnant so early. I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids because I don't want to be this mean to my kid. So that is so weird because I remember writing these 3 things down that I didn't want to get fat. I didn't want to get kids early. I didn't want to get married early on my wall, on my bedroom wall. So every time I wake up, every time I go to sleep, I see these 3 things. So it really drove me and I was really, really fearful of getting kids and getting, but it wasn't really bad. Sometimes she'd be nice. Sometimes she'd be really mean. And sometimes I feel like, whoa, like you're not like this to other people. You're like this to me, and I really thank God that my dad brought the balance, that I didn't go mental at the time. When she found the notebook, she really went mental. Like she was so upset, she was so angry. And I remember that time we had a DM, a domestic manager, and she was there, she was present when she was reading out loud the book. And she was like, some of those things she's writing there, they're true. She's actually being really truthful. That is what you did to her. Like, no, that she actually now started, being so mean to her. So I was told to burn the book. I burnt it down. That was the end. I don't think I've written anything up until now. I never really penned down my emotions again. I just used to bury them in. I never used to talk to anyone about them. I didn't think they'd understand. And I think it really came to me at one point that, just accept it. This is it. Just be quiet. Move on. Just do whatever it is you have to do. Please her. Be nice to her. I remember one time we went to Coast as a school trip to Mombasa. I got her these glasses. They were short glasses, really cute glasses. I remember she just threw them somewhere and that was it. She never even opened them. She never used them. I was like, wow. So what is it? What do you want from me? Like, I'm really trying to be really nice to you, but you're not accepting. I remember that really hurt me. And I was wondering, like, what can I do for this woman? I just want her to accept me. So fast forward, I remember getting really tied to my husband. We were friends since 2014. Having all this emotional damage done to you and you don't really hold relationships with high regard and you're having issues in your relationship because you can't regulate your emotions. You were this person who's so insecure, like you have to please people, you have to be a people pleaser because you grew up trying to please your mom. And that is what happened with me and my husband. So I remember us starting as friends in 2013, 2014, I think. But we ended up dating in 2017. And I remember my mom starting to change after I started dating this guy. She started being accepting, she started getting involved. But still, there was still something was like, wow, you can be this nice. Okay, fine, let's get on with it. So I think I was 24. It was like 6 years ago. So I am 32. Do I remember my age at then? I think 26. Yes, because I didn't want to get babies before 28. Still, I do want to get kids also. For my husband and I, things really went fast. So we're dating 2017, 2018 is Rorasho, 2019 we're going to the AG. Same year, we're getting babies. So it was really fast. But he's really amazing. And I remember after we did our Rorasho in 2018, a few weeks later in January, my period didn't come. I have anxiety also. I have anxiety. I'm like, wait, I'll be pregnant now. I just started getting settled in this relationship. I want to enjoy my relationship fast. I don't think we're even ready. So I remember going to his office and telling him, you know what, I think something is amiss somewhere. Like, oh, why are you so worried? Just go get a test. I mean, if the kid is there, the kid is there. We're just going to raise that kid. We're together already. I remember getting that kid, doing the test and seeing the 2 lines and going into a panic attack and hyperventilating. And he's there just trying to hug me. He's wondering, because I remember he got off his seat. He's like, whoa, this is now serious. She's going to fall off here. She's going to have maybe a mental breakdown. Oh, it was really tough. My fears were I was not ready to be a parent. Because I remember my mom, and I was thinking maybe I'm going to be this kind of mom. I didn't want to be this kind of mom. Because I remember saying all the time to people, don't get kids if you know you're going to be mean to them. don't get kids if you know you're going to be mean to them. I remember going for my ultrasound. That was when I got the next hyperventilation episode. So I'm there, I'm lying on the couch, and this guy just says, you know what, I see 2 yolks and I see 2 sacs and I think you're having twins. I'm like, oh my God. Wait, I just accepted a pregnancy. How am I supposed to accept twins? You know, it was really hard because I remember a few years when I was at work saying, you know what, I can't get twins. You know, they're not in my family. How can I get twins? I'm never getting twins. I can never get twins. I'm like, whoa, that statement got back to me on that day. I'm like, whoa, wait, why? The first person I called was my dad. When we got pregnant with my husband, we said that we'd wait till 4 months till we tell people. But this was 5 weeks. And I called my dad because I was in panic. When I'm in panic, I call my dad because he's my voice of reason. He brings so much voice of reason, and he's really soft and calm. Like, why are you so worried? I mean, it's just kids. You know, it's just a blessing. You know, I'm really happy for you. And I remember coming down. I remember walking because I walk when I get anxious, calling my husband and saying, you know what, I really need to see you. It's not good. It's not good news. He got into panic. He thought maybe there's something wrong with the baby. There's something wrong with the pregnancy. I remember him driving me home and he was really asking, oh, what is going on? Just tell me. When we got home, that's when I gave him the report. That's when he read, what is it saying? You say we're getting twins? Like, where are they coming from? We don't have twins in our family. We have twins in our family, but I don't know. It's really confusing. That is when it was around 1. He didn't go back to work again. We stayed home, and he was there with me throughout that time. That time, my husband wasn't really stable also. He was grieving his mom. His mom died in 2016. Him and his mom, they had a very, very great mom. So I felt like, this was destined. You guys got a really good mom. I didn't get a very good mom. So there's this balance. You're going to help me, heal some things because he was emotionally stable. I wasn't. And I remember him bringing so much calm and tranquility in our life. And that's one of the things that made me fall in love with him because of his strong bond with his mom. Because he'd speak with such high value and so much beauty. And my mom was such an amazing mom. She was there for us. She taught us so many things. And you can see even with the sisters, they're really amazing people. You can get in-laws who are nasty, but I got really awesome in-laws. I really got really awesome sisters. They take care of me. They check up on me. One of them, we talk every day. We're either on WhatsApp, we're either on Instagram, we're either calling each other, And she really checks up. She's really good with my kids. She really loves my kids. And also my other sister. They both love our kids. So I remember he had an alcohol problem. He was deep in it. He was really nasty. And that is one of the reasons that made me panic because I felt I don't want my kids to get a dad who is not available because my dad was available. He got a balance on my dad's side because my dad was really available. He didn't have any intoxication. He's never taken alcohol his whole life. He's never smoked cigarette his whole life. And he's always been there for us. And it felt like alcohol would, he'd prioritize alcohol and not the family or the kids. So I didn't know he was struggling with grief until we went for therapy. So you can imagine, I'm getting pregnant with twins. My husband is adjusting to it. He's going deeper and deeper into alcohol. And I'm really confused. Like, am I going to raise these kids alone? Who is going to be there with me? Because I am those people who get so paranoid and I don't want people to touch my kids and I want to be there for them. I want to be that parent. I will do everything. So I remember raising those concerns with him. It's like, no, I'm going to be here. We don't even need a DM. I'm just going to be you and me. And let me tell you, men, when you get kids, it's like they run off fast. Because I really got to understand. They get confused. They don't know where to begin. I don't know what you need. I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to hold the baby? Am I supposed to give you space? Am I supposed to be here? It was really confusing for him. And I wish I understood that earlier and helped him, come into terms. I got married civil, I think in July, giving birth in August. And there were 2 little boys. One is bigger. One is 2.8. The one was 2.2. And let me tell you, I was so scared about the small one. I got really attached to him because he was so tiny and I felt like maybe I'd lose him. It was really, really tormenting. And there's my husband drinking and not being there and everything. And he's really trying some days, and some days are so bad for him. And it's like he's sinking and sinking and sinking. And I'm alone. Remember, we are not getting a DM because he said he'd be there for me. So I remember getting so paranoid and so really attached to my kids. Okay, my therapist used to say enmeshment. I didn't know until I went to therapy that I was enmeshed. I used to get a day bug, and the only thing, she'd come at 9 and leave at 12 noon. 9 a.m. to 12 noon. She'd just come, do the house, do the laundry, and just go. I do the cooking myself. I have 2 kids. They're really tiny. This is a period of 3 months. The first since they were born until they were 3 months. Because I remember the first 9 days I went at home after I gave birth. But I called my husband like, yo, I can't live with my mom anymore. She used to take care of the kids and everything, but she didn't take care of me emotionally still. Those people tell you you're not doing it right. There's nothing you're doing it right. I think till this day, my mom has never told me I'm a great mom. And I don't think she's ever said that, you're doing a really good job. Raising 2 kids at the same time is not easy. But my dad brings a balance. He tells me that every other time. Mother's Day, he celebrates me. He does all that. He does everything on my birthday. He does all that. He really tries to uplift me. Because I used to do anything and everything was wrong. I wasn't doing anything right. I told my husband, I don't think I'm in a very good space. I know she means well, that she wants to take care of me and the kids at this time. Because, it's a cesarean section. I went back home and I'm in this 2-bedroom house, 2 kids. My husband is not there. He comes home late and the whole day I'm with the kids. I'm alone, except for the 3 hours the day bug comes. I started sinking into depression without even knowing it. The kids were crying. I'd start crying. Sometimes I'd go for days without a shower. Sometimes I wouldn't even want to eat. And I remember shrinking all of a sudden. I was so sleep deprived because at night I'd have to wake up. And before they now get to regulate a sleep pattern that's really good. This one is waking up now. You sleep 2 minutes, the other one is up. I remember there's a night I didn't sleep a wink because I had to breastfeed and you're dropping your head and you put him to sleep and then the other wakes up. And I remember hating my life and wondering, how did I get here? Why did I get here? I mean, I really don't want to be this person. I thought I'd be a good mom, given, the history. And I remember hating myself and starting to hate my kids and thinking, they were a burden. It's so sad that I thought my kids were a burden. It went on for 3 months. I'd cry and I'd really hate myself and I'd really neglect myself. And it got to a point I wouldn't even leave the bedroom. I just wanted to stay there with the kids. And I remember, sometimes my mom would help and she'd come and call in and say, just ask the DM to, Atakama, you don't want her to cook. As much as you don't want her to cook, just tell her to, slice up some things. And I'm like, okay, fine. I just allow it. Just tell her to hold one baby for you. Just let her stay longer because you're paying her for a whole day, but you're letting her stay there for 3 hours only. So I started doing that slowly and slowly became easier and became easier. Because I remember one night I was holding my baby and spinning and I'm bottle feeding and I'm holding the bottle with my shin. So I'm holding the baby with one hand, the shin, and the other one was asleep. So I was holding the bottle with my shin and trying to support and spinning the bottle like, wow. For my profession is that I am a nurse. And I thought it would be easy because, I knew. But when it got to my kids, I got clueless. I got blank. And I wish I knew that people needed support. I was so clueless. I needed support. I mean, why? I keep looking back and asking myself, why did I take myself through this mental torment? I would have asked for help easily. I remember it slowly becoming easier and easier. And sometimes my husband would really help. And sometimes he wouldn't. Because he's really going through something also. When they got to 1 year, I was the meanest mom. I never understood tantrums. I grew up knowing that we need to hit our kids. We need to spank them for them to get disciplined. And let me tell you something. Instagram taught me how to be a mother. Weirdly enough, Instagram, social media, the internet taught me how to be a mom. The internet taught me that I had child trauma. The internet taught me that I was so emotionally dysregulated. I got this from the internet. Weirdly enough, just how they bring sponsored pages and something you don't even follow because you're so into kids and you're trying to search things, data about kids, it just pops up. And I'm like, whoa, wait, I'm the problem. It's not my kid. And they were so everywhere. That's when they start to walk. So I'd really get upset when they pull things and they break things. And then I'd think, okay, hold up. You need to check your mental health. You're not okay. That's when I started telling my husband, I think we need therapy for the both of us. So the good thing with my husband, he's really, really open to things. And he's like, okay, you think we can try this? We can try this. So we tried the first therapist. Wasn't good. Was so bad. Those therapists who you go for a session and they're talking the whole time. They're on their phone. They don't give you attention. So you go and talk, and then they make it so argumentative. So you waste a whole session and nothing was working. So I stumbled upon Purity. She's my current therapist and she helped us so much. So we started doing solo sessions. That is when I got to understand. That is when she helped me heal my childhood wound. And I remember her, telling me, you're so enmeshed with your kids. I mean, what do you think? I mean, it was really an eye-opener for me. I believe that my kids were a blessing because they came in and helped me heal. It's so sad that they had to go through a bit of trauma because I was really, really nasty, but they helped me heal. When I was in therapy, I learned that it wasn't my fault that my mom was the way she was, that I had to have that childhood, that whatever she said or she used to tell me does not define me. I am a whole person myself and I know who I am. And I accepted myself for who I am, not for what she tells me I am. Every time my kids showed me love, it made me love myself even more. Every time my husband would bring me back to sanity, he accepted me. And he loved me for every emotional outburst I'd get. Every time I'd get so mean with the kids, he'd help me come to sanity. I thank God for him every single day because he was able to be emotionally regulated for me, for my sake. I think I'd get to that point where I started, I think I need to check myself. That is when I started going to therapy, to Purity. Because things weren't going right for my kids, for myself as a mom, for my marriage. I felt like I was doing everything wrong. Because everything is so wrong with me because I grew up knowing I'm not okay, I'm not a good person. Because I was meant to believe that. So I remember in one of the sessions, she said to me, you know what? You cannot carry your kids everywhere. You need to leave your kids. Because I was so immersed, I would not leave the house. Every 2 seconds I'd call in. How are they? I want to talk to them. Like every time I take it to daycare, I'll be so worried. I'm thinking, there's something going wrong. And she told me, you know what? You just need to pray and say, you know what? God, you watching over my kids. I have no way of knowing what is going on. I have no way to protect them, but you can. And I know they're safe. She used to tell me, keep telling yourself that they are safe wherever they are. That helped me calm down. And it helped me, realize that, what, my kids they're okay. They don't need me that much. And I don't need to be so controlling and so being there. When they started going to school and I let them go to school, and I was like, okay, they're going to school. I wasn't so worried. And, she helped me deal with my anxiety because I had the worst anxiety. I would not sleep at night and do that. She helped me do a lot of self-talk. For me, self-talk really helped me. Because for me, sitting here and talking is huge. Because I would just be shaking and shaking. Oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Oh, what am I going to do? And she helped me do this self-talk. It's so interesting because since I got that message from you guys, I've not gotten an anxiety episode because I think, what am I going to say? What am I going to start with? I just came in clueless. You're just going to say, you're going to speak your truth, And I thank God that Purity really helped me and she helped my husband because my husband quit alcohol. He went back to working. I used to work out and he got really huge. He was at 100 and now he's 77. And he's really working, he's listening to podcasts, he's working on himself. And I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of his steps he's taking. He's such a better father. And I remember when I was working and I went back to work, he'd take them, he goes with them for swimming. He does so many things. They do so many things together. I see them spending so much time together and I feel so much love that he takes up, whenever I'm not around, he takes that extra step. He's going to know, like, this kids need this and this without even me saying. He became amazing because he went for therapy. I don't know why people don't really embrace therapy and there's this stigma around it because people think, you have a mental health issue. It's a mental health issue, you're not okay mentally, but we need to embrace this. And I thank God for purity every single day because right now I don't even know the last time I went for a session. I see my kids started because one of them was so dysregulated because I was so dysregulated. And slowly he's becoming such a soft, very calm kid. He's able to communicate his emotions, and when he's angry, he's not going to do anything to his brother. He just goes to his room and then he comes back and tells me, you know what, Mom, I'm happy now. He's going to go in and say, I'm angry. I'm angry and you did this and you did this. And then he goes and he comes back and he says, I'm happy now. And it's okay. And he's going to apologize when he feels he's done something wrong. They both do. But also emotionally dysregulated, they used to really fight. They used to really fight and get on each other's nerves. They've learned how to hold boundaries with each other and they love. And you see there's so much love. I think when I got emotionally regulated, everyone became so calm, so peaceful. We're just a happy family. We're just a small, happy family. My mom and I right now, I don't think we're in a good space because I haven't spoken to her since last year. I don't even remember the month because I felt it got to a point for me. She'd really get my anxiety really bad because, I really want to be accepted and I'm thinking I need to tiptoe around her. And it wasn't really working for me because it started affecting me mentally and also affecting my marriage because I wasn't really good at home. So I decided, just give myself space. And I said, toxic is toxic. This whole narrative of telling people, that's still your mom, that's still your dad, it's toxic, it's toxic. If someone doesn't want to, as an individual, doesn't want to work on their toxicity, I don't need to tiptoe around it. They need to work on themselves first. She needs to find her, so she needs to heal. For us to meet at the middle. So I said, you know what, I need to be safe. So I'm going to give it space. I'm good with my dad. He's still a parent and I'm safe now. I don't feel the need to be this person. I don't feel like the need to be around this toxic energy. And I'm okay. I'm at peace. I sleep better. I work better with my kids. I accepted myself for who I am. I don't need her approval because I always wanted to seek approval from her. And she's good with my kids. She's awesome with my kids. So I let them see them. Sometimes they go, their dad takes them to our home and they have fun with her. But I felt like, it got to a point that I do that limitedly because I have a way of parenting my kids that she will not go in accordance with. So I hold those boundaries. I'm like, you know what, these are my kids. I need to raise them in a certain way. So if you don't go according to that, then it means you're not respecting this. So I need to pull off because I don't want my kids getting confused. Sometimes they respect it, sometimes they don't because, grandparents. But I feel like as much as she's good with my kids and she has time with them, that's okay for me. I don't need to be her baby. I don't need to be, there. She gets them. That's enough for me. And she has no role in my life right now. She has a role in my kids. She's a grandparent. She has no role in my life. I am okay. I wish people would understand one thing. Motherhood is not for everyone. Just like we can't all be business people. We can't all be doctors. Not everyone can be a mother. Not everyone can be a father. Not everyone can be married. It's not for you. It's not for you. But if it is for you, you need to work on yourself first before you become a parent to someone. Because you need to remember one thing. As much as you have all these toxic things in your mental space and you carrying a baby, you're actually transferring it without even knowing it. You need to start breaking the chain. It needs to start with you. If you grew up in a toxic home, change needs to come from you before you become a parent to someone. Because you need to become this whole new person for this other tiny person who's just an empty book because they're reading from you and you're writing this whole story and you need the story to come out so differently from yours. So you need to start healing yourself before you even think about getting to be a parent to somebody, because they're looking up to you. So who are you? Who are you? And as a person, like, are you really a good model for them? Are they going to look up to and say, Mom, my mom was the best. She was there for me. She helped me emotionally. She was the best foundation I got. I can stand up. I am confident. I can do all these things. I have no issue with my self-esteem. But you cannot raise me with self-esteem issues and expect me not to get self-esteem issues. You cannot be toxic and not expect me to be toxic. You cannot be this very awful person and expect me to be good. That choice needs to come from, I think we can be better people and then we can be better parents. And I wish so many people would not underestimate the power of healing before we become parents or before we even start dating people. Because sometimes we actually fight with our spouses, with our boyfriends and girlfriends because we have not healed. And we've not found ourselves as a person. We need to work our inner self before we even engage in any other relationship. That is when love really flourishes and love becomes so beautiful. It's such a very good space. We need to live in such spaces. We don't need to live in this toxic environment. Let's break this cycle. It starts with us. And I wish I knew this earlier, but I thank God that I get to have another chance with this kid, that I'm going to be a better mother. I can't wait to be a better mother to them. Let me not lie to you. Sometimes I sleep and I then try and regain myself. It's so weirdly enough, sometimes I tell my kids, I'm sorry that I acted a certain way. I should not act like that. This and this should be done. And I remember one time I was so nasty. I was putting my kid to sleep and I remember telling them, I'm sorry, I did this and this and this. And my kid turned and hugged me and told me, it's okay, mommy. I cried. And he went back to sleep and he slept like a baby the whole night, And I thank God that I'm learning these things and I get to teach them these things,
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless.
Wasn't that a powerful story? You see what I was talking about? Oh my goodness. I feel like first and foremost, before I share some of the things that I connected with, you need to share this with every and any parent or person you know who is thinking of having kids. I just feel like this is a resource. Her story is actually a resource, Even around like having kids, I've moved from wanting one kid to never wanting children. And I think this movement has happened on the podcast. So like you can find all these versions of me in previous episodes. And where I'm at now, I think, okay, so when I was saying I don't want kids, I think I didn't like the environment I was in at that time. I wasn't cognizant that was one of the reasons, but in hindsight, it was. I also was trying to navigate grief and feeling like I wouldn't want to die and leave my kids to experience the grief that I'm navigating after the death of my mom. I don't know why that was hard to get out. I need to check in with myself, like, what's going on with that mother grief thing? Anyway, and then I would also say, finances, baba, which is real. Capitalism is real. School fees is a lot. Food, clothing, shelter, and etc. But where I'm at now is, one, I love children. I do. And I think that it would be wonderful to do that light work of bringing light into this world. It would be wonderful. My apprehension now is not around finances. Not to say that I have a lot of money. Please, Carrie, do not come for me. I've already filed my taxes. Not to say that, but my reservation right now is on healing. Trying to ensure that I still, one, I have a brilliant relationship with healing. Two, that I continue to have a brilliant relationship with healing. And that I figure out how to give my kid tools to help them navigate healing, and tools that are appropriate for every age. Because even when I think about my mom, there are decisions she made that were the best decisions, but I ended up being in spaces that harmed me, right? And so your child will be in spaces that could harm her or him or them. And so what do the tools look like? You know, I don't have the answer to this. I'm just like throwing this question out there. And so I think that's where I'm at with kids, where it's like, it's not a hard no. It's just that, eh? Oh my goodness. Anyway. So the things that I really loved and I connected with in the story was something I've been saying for a minute. And I think I've said it on this podcast. The things we're told as kids, we hang on to those words and we carry them with us into adulthood. Not just parents need to be careful with the words you say to your kids, but all of us who are around any children, we need to be more conscious of the words we say, of the jokes we make. It might be funny to you and you might think it's funny because it was done to you, but like when you really go back and evaluate, maybe there's a problem. You know, things like if there's a chubby kid, you will make light of their chubbiness or whatever. You might be coming from a very innocent place, but you just don't know how the child is receiving it, so just don't. Words, we have to be careful. I loved when she talked about love and love after or while you're doing your healing, because healing is not a destination, it's ongoing. But I truly think love does feel better and more secure and deeper when you're healing. And I'm not only talking about like an intimate love, but even love for yourself and even for your friends. It's just so much richer and so much more grounded. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, when she said it, I was like, damn it, like, I know what you're saying. I hear you on that point. And the last thing was on apologizing to your kids. I mean, how else will they learn that there's no such thing as perfection and that they will make mistakes? And it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. They need to be comfortable in their humanity, strive to do good, but like we fall short sometimes. It happens. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how young you are, you can make a mistake and you can apologize and release. You know what I mean? Oh, y'all, I love this story. I really hope you did as well. But if you're in Kenya, remember you can catch this podcast right here on Trace FM. Just go to traceradio.co.ke. We are there every Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. and Fridays at 1 p.m. Make sure you also check out our website, which is legallycluelessafrica.com. You'll find out when our next group therapy session is, when our next events are, and so much more good stuff. So in this episode, as I wind it up, honestly, for this one, I want to leave you with a very specific message. I wish you the love, the grace, and the courage needed to break the harmful, toxic cycles that may exist in your family or in parts of your story. You can step outside of that. I definitely think that you can break those cycles.
That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.